All right, so we are so excited for you guys to be here again with us today. This is Real Life Connections. And today we have actually moved out of America and we are now in the UK. We are so excited. Real Life Connections has gone global. So with me
Yay!
today, I have Alex. He is from the UK. He's 23 years old and he is a gamer. And so I'd love to learn about what he does to advocate for his community. So welcome, Alex. We're so happy to have you.
Welcome. Thanks for having me. I don't know why
Yeah.
I said welcome. I should be, I don't know. But oh well, yeah. Yeah.
That's okay. We're so glad you're here. So, can you tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Alex. I'm 23. I am, like you just said, I'm into my gaming. I'm into my sport. I stream on Twitch sometimes. Well, most times actually, quite often. Like I say, I enjoy my gaming. I've adapted it so it works with my disability. With different controls and stuff. And yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so if it's okay, let's talk a little bit about your disability.
Yep. So I was paralyzed when I was 8 months old. I have a spinal cord injury, which is incomplete at C6. I was paralyzed by a virus called transverse myelitis,
Oh,
which I'll explain it a simple way, where basically when I was 8 months old, like when you get a cold and your tonsils swell up, I got this virus which caused my spinal cord to swell up. And obviously, because it's surrounded by the vertebrae, it gets crushed. So then when the swelling went down, I was then left with an injury to my spinal cord. And yeah, so here
oh
I am. And
wow.
I was left with a incomplete C6 injury when I was 8 months old.
Oh wow. Okay. So you get around by wheelchair?
Yep, manual wheelchair, yep. I started off when I was younger in power chair,
Okay.
um, just because I was quite weak, I suppose.
Mhm.
And I just went around in a power chair until I was about 12, I don't even remember how now, but I started playing wheelchair basketball. I don't play it now. I've moved on to wheelchair rugby, but I was playing wheelchair basketball, and everybody there was in manual chairs, and I started playing, and I think it's one of these things where I decided to switch into manual chair more time, just building my fitness, and I realized I could do it and get around a bit easier in a manual chair for me. Just because in a way it's easier to you haven't got the battery sort of like lifetime to worry about, and if there's a couple of stairs, somebody can sort of like grab the back and it's not going to weigh 2 tons to move. So yeah, manual chair.
Very cool. Yep. So I use one of those big bulky power ones. So always
Yeah,
battery life and stairs are just two obstacles I always face. So I get it.
yeah.
So let's talk about kind of growing up with a disability. What did that look like for you? I know obviously you used a wheelchair, so through grade school and things like that. What was that
Yeah.
experience for you?
I was. I don't think I had too different sort of like life compared to. I went to mainstream school.
Okay.
I went to just normal school as everybody else did. Everybody, all my friends, they grew up around me in a wheelchair kind of thing. So I'd say nobody really sort of like looked at me any differently, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like it didn't feel like that to me. And I think everybody just grew up with me in a wheelchair, and I never got sort of like singled out for it
Sure.
ever.
Hmm.
Which in a lucky position really, because I know lots of people who have had issues with bullying and that. I've got a couple of mates. I've got a mate who had it in the past, but I don't know. I don't know whether it's just because I'm a people person, so I was very good at sort of like just talking to people and not getting away with it, but without being that sort of like target,
Hmm.
which other people aren't so lucky to have, kind of thing. So in a way, I pretty much had a normal childhood in a way,
That's awesome.
which is pretty cool. I got two brothers. One who is 2 years older and 2 years younger. So one's 25 and one's 21 now. So I grew up with them. They made typical brothers, all pick on each other, all do stuff. I'd trap them behind obviously big bulky power chair. If a door opens one way and there's no other way to get out of it, you park behind it and they can't get out. So I used to trap them in places, and then they used to on my old power chair you could switch it off with a magnet,
Hmm.
so sort of like just lock it. So they used to do that to me. Or another thing they used to do is dig holes in the garden. If you weren't paying attention, you'd get one of your wheels in, you'd fall out. So typical brothers kind of thing. So yeah, normal childhood, normal family, grew up. I did all right at school, went
Good.
off to uni. I finished that when did I graduate 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I did it in quite broad IT, but quite a broad degree. And
Okay.
now I'm a data analyst. So
Nice. That's
that, that,
awesome.
that's a quick run through of my life, basically, in
Yeah.
5 minutes.
No, that's okay. That's really cool. And so being in a wheelchair and kind of growing up having to get around by wheels, what's one of the biggest challenges I think that you think you faced so far?
Getting around, I think stairs. There's one. And I think it's just general accessibility in
Sure.
terms of going out and buildings and activities and that. I think it's one of these things that people without disability, able-bodied people, they kind of sometimes take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, sometimes if you plan a trip out, I've got a group of lads who I'm mates with, and we all go out on a day trip or something. We're all trying to plan it, and I'm like, they're like, oh yeah, we've looked and it should be okay. And I'm like, well, have you looked for this? Have you looked for that? Have you looked for that? So it's just these additional things sometimes that you've got to sort of like think about.
Right.
I think just like if there's stairs, is there a lift? Is the lift working? Is there a toilet that I can one getting and two accessible? Because and I think sometimes places say they're accessible when they're not actually accessible.
Uh-huh.
If that makes sense. And from the website, they'll say, "Oh yeah, wheelchair accessible," but their idea of wheelchair accessible is sort of like completely different to what it actually should be.
Right.
So I think that's probably one of the biggest sort of like issues of growing up with, in a way.
Yeah, for
Just sort of like just simple things like stairs and thresholds. Thresholds are another thing. I hate them at times. And then yeah, I think that's really the main one. Just sort of like going around and making sure I can get places. But like I say, I got a good group of mates. So even if there is they're quite good at sort of like if there's a few stairs, one grab the front, one grab the back, hoist me up, it kind of thing, chuck me about. So and my family have all been the same as well. So again, I think I've been quite lucky in a way where if there is an issue, we sort of like get around it, sort of like hook by crook.
yeah,
Even though
sure.
you probably other people might not be able to do that way. So
Yeah. So what does accessibility look like in the UK? So obviously I've never left my country. Wish I have. I'm definitely coming
yeah,
to visit at some point. But is it easy to get around? Are buildings a lot older? Or like what's that kind of look like over there?
I think it depends where you go.
Okay.
Sort of like London. I'm not in London. I'm out in the sticks, in like out the country way,
Okay.
about 2 hours away, and it varies. Like some places they're cobbles and stuff, and there's big old curbs, and it's a pain. And other
Right.
places it's new builds and it's all flat, smooth, and perfect. London's definitely getting better
Okay.
in terms of public transport. Actually, everywhere's getting better with public transport. All
Good.
buses now are wheelchair accessible. Going into London, I remember going. Oh, I went when I was at like 7, and
Uh-huh.
I think only one tube station was like, or 2 or 3 are accessible. So getting around them was difficult. But I went. Oh, I go almost like 3 times a year now, occasionally, and every time you go, it's getting better and better.
Good.
So
That's good.
and it's not too bad, but it's just wherever you go. And obviously if you go into older buildings, they're not as likely to be accessible.
Right.
But at the same time, you kind of expect that in a
Right.
way,
Right.
because back in the day, they weren't like that. So I went to Edinburgh a few years ago, and I don't know why I thought it'd be a good idea, but I thought, oh yeah, let's go to the castle at the very top of the hill. So I got my girlfriend to push me up there because it was too steep for me. So we got to the top. She was absolutely shattered, and then we're like, oh yeah, wait, there's not going to be a lift to get up to the top of it, is there? Because it's obviously an old castle. They've got all I'm trying to think what it's called now. What's it called where the historical buildings can't be adapted to? Oh, I can't even think what it's called.
Um,
Heritage site or something like that. So they've got this protection where they can't do mass amounts of work to it.
gotcha.
So obviously you can't really go up there. And I was like, oh wait, I've just made her push me all the way up here, and she's here sweating and moaning. Oh, we can't even go there. So I think it's just stuff like that really. But accessible wise, it's I make do with it.
Yeah, sure.
There's a great I don't know if they're a charity or not, but Motability, they can do great things. They've helped me get a wheelchair accessible vehicle where I can drive
Oh,
myself.
cool. Okay.
So part of my benefit that goes straight onto that. And it's a VW van. I can get in it myself. I can transfer myself into the seat, and then all the accessible controls are there as well, which make it easy for me to get about. Obviously, having this vehicle, so that's a big win in a way for me.
Mm-hmm.
I go to work. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to go to work.
Nice.
If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be able to do half the things to do at the moment. So that is one of the big wins in terms of accessibility for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
for sure.
obviously, yeah, but not everybody's got that. So it's and it also helps because I live in the sticks, and public transport here for everybody is dreadful. So it's kind of like it's a lifesaver. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have a car that I drive by myself as well, and
yeah,
I wouldn't have it. Everything here is built so far apart, like you couldn't walk to the nearest store because you'd
oh
never make it. Like there's no
yeah,
way.
no, we're the same here. It's not too bad in some places. Like
Yeah.
I've been, my aunt had a flat in London for like, and I went and stayed there for a few days.
Mm-hmm.
And there you could walk 5 minutes and you're somewhere.
Right.
Here, out in the sticks, oh, I walk 5 minutes and I'm in the middle of a field and I've got to go another 20 minutes to the nearest shop. So
Exactly.
it's your car's your lifesaver. So it is one of the big things for me. So
Yeah, absolutely. And so you talked about playing sports. I caught you saying that earlier. So I play a couple of sports. I play wheelchair
yeah,
soccer and I've done zip lining and water skiing. So I love
yeah.
adaptive sports.
You've done water skiing. I've
Yeah, I
seen
don't do
that.
it very gracefully, but I do
No.
water skied before. But you talked about basketball and then you said rugby. You play rugby
Yes.
currently?
Yeah, well, I say currently. I've been quite bad recently. I've not been to training for a while, and
Okay,
I've just said I found once I started that now. I've got my full-time job and stuff. Monday to Friday, I'm busy. So then
right.
and then they train on a Sunday, but on a Sunday it's something like it's about an hour and a half away from me, just because
Okay,
it's not like there's not many clubs about.
right.
So it's about an hour and a half away from me. So I have to drive an hour and a half there, train for 2 hours, and then drive an hour and a half back. So that's like 3 hours in driving and then 2 hours training kind of thing. So I find if I go, it takes up half my day. And now that
Mhm.
I'm working, it's kind of like one of these things. My girlfriend's up in Leicester, which is about 2 hours away from me.
Okay.
She's trained to be a nurse
Nice.
at uni there. So again, it's kind of like one of these things now. Now that I've started doing adult things and adult life, it's kind of like trying to prioritize my weekends. But yeah, I've played wheelchair rugby. I've played basketball. Big into my sport. I find it a great escape. It's good to stay fit. I've seen wheelchair football. It looks really difficult. Or well, you say soccer, but yeah,
Oh yeah,
is it?
sorry.
It's one of my biggest bugbears. Soccer and football. It's football, but yeah. What's it like? Is it
It's kind of like well, we call it bumper cars here, like where you smash into
bumper
yourself.
cars?
Yeah. It's kind of like bumper cars with a
That's
giant ball.
brilliant.
hmm
Oh, wicked.
So I've gotten hit quite a number of times, and it takes the
Yeah.
wind out of you. It's pretty good.
Does
Uh,
it? Yeah.
it's
I,
very
I'm
fast paced, and we use power chairs because you
no,
cannot.
I've seen. Yeah, I know you're all in power chairs and stuff, but you spin, don't you, to hit the
Yeah,
ball?
yeah,
It looks
yeah.
mental. It does look fun though. So,
It is kind of fun. It's really fast paced, and you only play 3-on-3, so it's
okay, that's not
like
too
a
bad then.
smaller team. Yeah, well, when they're that big wheelchairs, you can't fit too many more than
Oh,
two.
that was one of the things I was thinking about because when we play rugby, it's 4v4,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes when I'm playing that and in training, they start thinking, oh, we could do 5v5. But even adding those two extra people in, I feel like I've left like the court is shrunk by about a third. It just feels like it doesn't feel there's enough space. And
Yeah,
that's I hate it when they sometimes in training like, oh, we'll move 5-on-5. I'm like, no, I want more room. I want more room. So I was
exactly.
going to say that how many people? So it's 3v3.
Yeah, 3v3, yeah. But
Oh,
it's
that's
it's
nice.
fun sport to play. And now
Sounds
you
it.
said you're into sports, so do you watch sports then too?
Yeah, I'm a big football fan.
Okay,
I got a season ticket at Leicester. My mum's family all from up that way.
nice.
So I got a season ticket at Leicester. But I'll watch any sport. I'll do any sport. I'm very much trying anything kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of like me in a way. It's sport, work, and
And
family
gaming.
in a way.
And
So
gaming.
and gaming. I forgot about that. Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
so let's talk a little bit about that because you said you
yeah,
adapted a lot of your equipment to play.
yeah.
So tell me a little bit how that works.
I'll start off quickly. When I was younger, obviously I got two brothers, so I started off on console just because
Okay.
that's what my brothers had, and in a way I learned to play with that, and I just use a regular controller as everybody else. But the trouble is my left hand's pretty okay. I've got my hand stuck in my wheel now. There we go. I've got it unstuck. So my left hand, I can move sort of like 3 fingers. My
Uh-huh.
right, I can't move any. So it's sort of like I could reach. I found a way to pretty much reach about 80% of the controller. So in a way, I'm already at a disadvantage where I'm not very good at moving my hands. But then if I can't reach 2 buttons or 3 buttons, I'm even more of a disadvantage.
Right.
So obviously, then I about 4 or 5 months ago, I obviously now started working, so I could afford to get a gaming PC. So
Mm-hmm.
I ended up getting one of those, which then means it's just more customizable.
Okay.
So I don't know where's my webcam. My webcam's there. So let me pick up this. So I've got myself a joystick,
Okay.
which I have then used my right hand, and I've managed to adapt for a program where I can map some of the movements on that to movements to keys on the keyboard.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So I then use that for some of that, and then I can throw it up just using a regular mouse with my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
So that is it's the actual PC cost me a bit to buy, but the actual adaptions were cheaper than if I was going to carry on my console gaming, because some of them that's one of the things that really annoys me. That some of these take the Xbox for example, they've got this new adaptive gamepad board thing
Mm-hmm. Right.
where the actual main game board costs about £60 here. So and then for every plug-in adaptation kind of thing, like additional button, you have to pay for it. So it
Oh, wow.
basically, I don't know if you've seen it, but it's basically like a bit of a skateboard size
Okay.
with sort of like 2 big pads
Mm-hmm.
which work as buttons, and then it's got loads of little input ports which you then have to plug in like little controllers or other buttons that you push in.
Mm-hmm.
But each one of those single ones you plug in then costs 50 quid as well.
Oh, wow.
So if you want 5 or 6 big buttons that you can push easily, it's gonna cost you like 250 quid,
My goodness.
which is mad in a way.
Right.
So that's why I thought, well, in a way, if I just buy a PC, get a good spec on it, it will last me 10, no, not maybe not 10 years, 5 years, 6 years, and
Right.
then my adaptions cost joystick was 10 quid and my mouse was 20. So
Yeah.
in a way, it's just worked for me that way. So that's I'm probably jumping ahead on one of your questions here, but I think that is one thing I would like to change, definitely accessibility wise in gaming. Just some of these things in gaming where hardware is expensive if you're going to want to be accessible.
Sure.
Like I said, with that gamepad, it's 250 quid if you want to get it fully working. And then also sort of like when people are developing games, the actual controllers, some of them, or the developers, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they are not very good with flexibility in key bindings in a way on controllers and stuff. So obviously keys, they work like when you push a button, it does an action kind of thing. And some of them are really good, so you can flip around what buttons do which. I can't remember on my Xbox. One game, can't remember what it was now, but one of them you could literally move every button. So the 2 buttons I couldn't reach on my controller, I just made them the 2 buttons that I'd never want to use.
Right.
So it didn't affect me on that game, but on other ones, mainly shooting ones, to pull your scope, which is so you can aim better.
Uh-huh.
Um, they were on the left trigger, which is just at the back of your left controller on your left hand side of the controller, and they were the 2 buttons I can't reach. So immediately I'm at a disadvantage there because I can't aim.
Right.
So it's just sort of like, and because the developers didn't have that flexibility in it, I don't know why. It's not like it gives you an advantage or anything. Just choose
Right.
which buttons which at. I couldn't play it as well, and therefore I just lost interest and never played it.
Right.
So I jumped ahead of your question there, but
Right.
that is definitely something where it just annoys me in gaming wise and accessibility. So
Yeah. So, and that you make a good point because I think it's the same way here. So,
yeah,
uh, it just seems like the assistive technology that's actually created for us to be able to use is so much more expensive for us
oh
than if we just created our own so that we could have a fair chance of playing or doing, the activities that we want to do just like everybody else does.
yeah. I think anything, to be honest. You mentioned disability or an item for disability, the price just skyrockets.
Sure.
I've got another a quick example.
Yeah.
So I remember in the winter. I'm quite lazy in a way, and I thought, oh, I bet I need to do some more exercise. And I thought, I don't want to go outside and go for a push. It's cold. So you know, like bikes, how you can get sort of like you get these sort of like I'm trying to think what they're called now. They're like, so you can stationary bike on your bike, but
Right.
you put it underneath your wheel. So as you
Oh,
pedal, you don't move, but the wheel moves as if it's.
gotcha.
And I thought, oh look, they do them for. I think they're called a rolling road. That's what I think they're called. So you put it underneath your bike and obviously like that. And I thought, oh, I wonder if they do them for wheelchair.
Hmm.
So for a bike, they're about 30 quid. So I looked, oh, I went on Google, thought I found one. 500 quid.
For a wheelchair.
And I'm like, just for the wheelchair version, I'm like, it's pretty much the same mechanics.
Right.
It's the only thing it's got is maybe two of the actual rolling road bits, obviously for both your manual wheels kind of thing on either side.
Right.
And then this little clamp which clamps on the front so you don't move or so it keeps you in place. I'm like, why is it costing so much more
Right.
for pretty much almost the same amount of equipment and same material and stuff?
Yeah.
It's daft.
Yeah.
It wound me up, to be honest. So
Yeah, no, and that's a good point, and that was exactly one of my questions, so I'm glad we talked about it. But yeah,
yeah,
I mean, what is that thing that we change in the community? And I think it's the cost of things that we need. If somebody else needs it, they have so easy access to get it at the same low cost, but if we need the same tool, it costs so
yeah.
much more, and it doesn't make any
It,
sense for it to cost anymore.
it's mad. It's mad. It doesn't mean anything, to be honest. And it's I could try and think of so many different other things. But I've also like this dice. Have you heard of Dyson?
Yeah,
Yeah. So you know Dyson.
yeah,
When I was younger, it's sort of like it's that sticky material, isn't it? You can put
yep.
down and
So that
yeah.
thing
So
will slide back and forth.
yeah,
Hmm.
when I was younger, I used to really use it a lot. And back then, I remember it costed me. Well, it didn't cost me, but the physio and all that used to be like, "Oh, we can't give you loads because it's really expensive for us."
Right.
I went and ordered some the other day off Amazon, 10 quid. A meter roll of it. And I started thinking, well, they were obviously being charged loads. But you could just get off Amazon for sort of like 10 quid. I was like, shocked, to be honest.
Yeah.
It's just sort of like, again, you mentioned disability and it just skyrockets apparently. So I don't even know. It's weird. So
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a good point to bring up. We haven't talked about that in any of my episodes so far that I've done.
yeah,
But that is a good point. That's definitely something I think our communities need to see is that, we'd be much more involved in our community if we didn't have to pay 3 times as much
yeah.
as somebody who doesn't have a disability has to pay for the same exact type of equipment. So I think that's a really good point. But what's next for you? What's your next goal, or what's the next thing you'd like to accomplish in life?
Oh, I don't really know, to be honest. I don't know. I think it's one of these things. I've got a job now, so I finished uni, got a job. I'm currently my girlfriend finishes uni next year.
Okay.
So
And she's gonna be a nurse, right?
yeah, she's going to be a nurse. Yeah, so she started her training. I met her before she started going off to uni, so then she went off to uni. So she's trained to be a nurse. I think we're looking at getting a house together
Nice.
when she finishes. I think that's one of the things, just trying to find again bungalows here. So I don't know what housing's like. Do you know what a bungalow is? I don't want to be rude, but
I don't. Is it
bungalows.
like a one story? It's like a flat?
Yeah, yeah, it's
Okay.
like a one story. It's like I don't know what language people use and
It's
stuff. So I
okay.
know bungalow. I'm like, it just makes sense to us over here. But yeah, it's basically a house without an upstairs.
Gotcha.
So so we've got bungalows. They're sort of like not they're more expensive than like a house.
Hmm.
Because basically, if you want the same amount of floor space in a bungalow as you do in a house, you're going to have to take up more land,
Gotcha.
obviously. So it's just sort of like stuff like that we're looking at, and bathrooms as well. Obviously, I need a wet room
Right.
so I can get in and a shower and stuff.
Right.
Those houses, they've either got a bath or they've got a shower cubicle.
Hmm.
And it's just sort of like one of these things where I know I've got to either get a bungalow, which is going to be more expensive, then put a bath and stuff in, or get a house and then put a lift in.
Gotcha.
So it's just, I think that's the next step, really. Get a house and then just try and do life.
Are there resources there that will pay for assistive equipment like that you could use?
Yeah, I can get grants and stuff
Okay.
for a bathroom and maybe for a lift as well. But
Okay.
I've not really started looking into it properly yet, and because obviously my parents have lived in this house since
Sure.
for when did they move in here? They moved in here when my little brother was born, so 21 years now.
Okay.
And they got it. It's a bungalow, and we had it basically just a normal bungalow, and we've had all the adaptations done for me. So I've got my wet room, I've got wide open doors, we've
Right.
got a door at the front door that I can, because I can't do key locks and stuff, I really struggle with them. So we've got an automatic door that opens with passcode and stuff like that. So that's all fully adapted. So now I've got to redo it all again when I move out. But yeah, there are grants and stuff we can get. I think, I'm sure. So it's kind of like one of these things where if I just get a house and just get a lift put in, because it'll be cheaper for me.
Right.
So,
Right.
but
Exactly.
that's one of the things to look forward to. And then traveling as well. I'm big on my traveling, so I want to try and travel the world as much as I can.
Is
So
traveling easy for you, or is it is it pose some challenges?
I quite enjoy. I don't think it's too difficult for me.
No. Okay.
I just have to be careful, like everybody, when they travel with a wheelchair or equipment and stuff,
Right.
because it works. So when I get to the airport, I let them know I'm here. I'm quite good at this now, so you let them know you're there. When I book my flights, have you ever flown? I don't know if you've flown or
Yep.
not. Yeah, so I don't know how it works over there, but when I book my flights, I put that I have my wheelchair. I put that my weight, my size of my wheelchair. So then I arrive, let them know I'm there. I go carry on everything else, security and everything, and then when they sort of like aisle chairs. I don't. Do you know an aisle chair? Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're these tiny little
They're
chairs.
so uncomfortable. Yes.
They're the worst. You get on this little aisle chair and you have to go. You get took to your seat and then you sit there and they take your wheelchair, they put it in the hold. That's the worst bit when you sit there. I get on the chair on the flight and I spend the next like 20 minutes trying to spot my wheelchair so I know it's on the flight, because otherwise you just got a nightmare of thinking, if I get to where I'm going and I've not got my wheelchair there, what am I going to do?
Exactly.
I'm left to be stuck for ages or something. So yeah, I don't find traveling too difficult as long as I've got it all organized and stuff like that. I'm very good at just sort of like looking where I'm going and making sure I've worked out when I get there how I'm going to get to where we're going. Where are we going? Does it have the right stuff I need? And it's just about being prepared and organized and making sure you know where you're going and stuff. And I've got quite a knack at it now. And sort of like I hadn't really flown properly, say about 4 years ago. I hadn't probably flown properly. I've flown once before then. And me and my girlfriend thought we'd go away. So we just went out to Scotland, and we flew up there because we thought, well, if it doesn't work out well, at least then we're sort of like can get the train back home.
Right.
If that makes sense. So we weren't going to be stuck.
Right.
So then we've slowly sort of like started going a bit further afield now to make sure we can get it good. And
Yeah.
our plan. So then future, when we want to go further afield, where we've got to go across the Atlantic or something stupid like that, we can't then be like, oh no, we're stuck.
Yeah. Exactly.
So we've got it all planned. So we've got quite good at traveling. Went to Barcelona last July, and I went to Berlin in January this year. And so now, yeah, it's like second nature to me what we do
That's
and stuff.
awesome. So where's the next destination? Do you know?
I don't have a clue at the moment.
Do
We've
you
all
have a
got
place you
Corona.
like dream of going and
Oh, dream! I want to go. My girlfriend's mad to go to Disneyland or Disney World, so that's
you
on
should
the.
come to Disney World because I live in Florida, so then we can
Oh,
see
do
each
you?
other in
Oh,
America.
yeah.
It's a great place to go.
That's on her list. So she's dying to do it. And so she sent me yesterday. She said, it's only going to cost us that much. I'm like, yeah, but we're saving for a house. We can't afford Disney and a house. So Disney's on the list.
There you go.
We went to Disneyland 3 years ago, so that was good. But it's so much smaller. And my aunt went to Disney World last year, and she's like, yeah, there's like 10 parks and stuff.
Yeah.
So it dwarfs Disneyland in Paris. So we've got that on there. We want to go to there. I want to go to Australia.
Okay.
But I think that'll have to be after America, and I also want to go to South Africa or somewhere and go safari.
That's
So
awesome. Very cool. Well, we definitely have to follow your travel journey because I would love to go other places and travel, but I'm always worried about if the wheelchair will make it or, all those things. So,
I think that is one of them. It's a big worry if
yeah.
you get there and your wheelchair breaks or something stupid. You have to be like, oh no, oh no. So
Exactly.
you don't want to get someone and be stuck, do you? And it's sort of, and then be. So I think that is a big worry of mine. But I've touched wood, not anything yet. And I think obviously I think America's next probably.
There you go. Well, we're pretty accessible here. Some states are
Yeah.
not so great, but some are pretty
No.
good. So
No,
you should
we
be okay.
thought I've heard people said like going to Florida and stuff. That is pretty, it's pretty reasonable or pretty
It's
good to go
it's not
Disney's.
bad. I think it's because we're pretty flat here, so there's no hills or anything
Oh,
to go
perfect.
up and down. So
I can't stand hills. It's the oh,
no, and it doesn't snow, so you don't have to worry about getting stuck in any of that either.
oh snow as well. Oh, it's the worst. I hate that. I think it's one of the things I forget about growing up. What's the worst thing about being a wheelchair? Snow, because you hit it and you stick and you don't go anywhere. I got a store. I'm
Yep.
absolutely.
So
But
my dad, when I was little, he used to
yeah.
snow blow. So you take one of those big machines and he'd
Oh
blow
yeah.
me a path through the snow, and then I could run my wheelchair around like a racetrack. It
That's
was
not too
probably
bad.
the most fun, but I couldn't go anywhere else but in the track because I couldn't get through the snow. So
Well, what we did because one year when it snowed really bad here, we made a snow plow out of a I think it was just a tray or something that
huh,
we duct taped to the front of my power chair so that I could then sort of like plow through the snow. It worked really well actually, but when I got my manual chair and stuff like that, it was ridiculous.
yeah,
I went to school once and my school was about half an hour away, so we got the bus, and it had been snowing the whole time there. I went inside, came out, and there's a ramp. And I thought, I'll be fine just going down this ramp. Went down this ramp, bombing at full speed, hit the snow. Snow stopped me dead. I went flying out of it, face planted to snow. And I thought, oh, not snow again. So I just hate snow now. But it's not snowed here for about 4 years now properly.
really?
So uh, global warming, I guess. So, but
Yeah.
I'm quite glad in a way because I can't stand it.
Well, I guess that's fair.
Yeah.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's a lot of, you have plenty of access here. It's pretty flat and easy to get around, so that should be good. But that'll be fun. So we'll have to follow your travel journeys because I know there's a lot of us with disabilities and who, especially who use wheelchairs, and we're not sure we can go anywhere else because we're not, sure accessibility wise if we could get around.
Yeah.
So it's always fun to have connections in other countries around the world because we want to go. We just need to know how to get there and what to do.
You,
And
the UK is pretty good to be honest.
yeah,
In general, that I've not really had any two difficulties. I think you just have to sort of like do your research beforehand.
right,
That,
right,
that, that, that that's our biggest thing. Every time we've been somewhere, we've checked one, the hotels are accessible, two, whether public transport's accessible, three, stuff we want to do is accessible,
right.
because obviously you don't want to get out there and have nothing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no point in you going somewhere for a few days and just spend the whole time in the hotel. I mean, because
Exactly.
well,
Hmm.
if you want to do that, you can just do that in the UK and not have to travel so much. So
Yeah,
just research is our biggest thing whenever we go anywhere.
that's awesome. That's really fun. So let's wrap up here. And the best way to wrap up, I think, for our shows is we
Yeah,
really want to kind of share, now that you've shared your story and you've shown that you're living life fully and absolutely love it. And, it's great for you. And I think that's the most motivating thing, that people can learn about
hmm
individuals with disabilities is that if we find adaptive ways to do things, we really can do anything. And I think that's
yeah.
great to show. So is there a piece of advice or anything you'd like to tell the communities? Like we're trying to get them closer together so that everybody can be, on the same playing field and nobody feels uncomfortable when they approach somebody with a disability. What's that piece of advice you would give somebody?
I'd say we're normal people and we have the exact same interest as you, everybody else, kind of thing.
Right,
I'm into my sport, I'm into football, I'm into everything all my mates are. It's just literally some simple things make a whole difference to us
right.
and just make it so much more accessible. And once that bridge has been gapped, like my gaming, like everything else, we're no different, kind of thing.
Right.
Uh, it's just sort of like these little hurdles sometimes that get in the way, and yeah, once you've overcome them, there's no difference really in a way.
Yeah.
That's how I see it anyway. In my opinion, so like especially in gaming, it's quite funny. Once I've got that bridge gap and I've got my controller, nobody knows I've got a disability in a way.
Yeah. So true.
And it's not obvious and it doesn't stand out or anything. I'm just one same as everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think it's just sort of like bridging that gap.
Yeah.
And actually bridging that gap isn't a bad thing.
Sure.
I think a key example, to be honest, is
Mhm.
with coronavirus.
Uh-huh.
and all that. We've all been working from home now, and I know in the past, not everywhere I've worked, I've been pretty reasonable about working from home. But I know some places are really sort of like negative about it. But now, obviously, with coronavirus and suddenly, oh, everybody can work from home. And I think now people are saying, look, sometimes I struggle getting out and go do places, and working from home isn't a bad thing. But now they've all realised working from home isn't a bad thing, carry on with it. And it's sort of like stuff like that, bridging the gap and saying, making things accessible for us isn't bad for everybody else.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got no negatives for anybody if you make somewhere more accessible. It
So,
just bridges that gap for more people to do stuff.
yeah, absolutely. I think you're right. I think working from home makes it a lot different because when I webcam in and I'm on my job's meeting in the morning and
Mm-hmm.
it's just my head and my shoulders, I look just like all the other heads and shoulders all on the
Yeah.
camera too, and nobody knows any different.
No.
But then on my lunch break, I can go lay down so I can rest my legs for a little while and then get back up again. And so
Yeah.
it just makes it, a little easier to kind of get through the day. So
It does, definitely. I do struggle in a way just with my focus. I can't focus. I'm normally all right going into work and stuff, but some days when I just have a bad day and a down day, and just where something flares up with disability or something, and I've just not got the energy to sort of like cope going. So if I've got to drive an hour to work and drive an hour home from work, I'm not going to be as productive actually at work
right.
because I'm going to be tired and stuff like that. So I think something like that, working from home on those days, I've not got that 2 hour journey. Obviously, 1 hour there, 1 hour back. So
Right.
actually, I feel more capable of putting more effort in at work, being more productive. And then if I need a half an hour nap, I can go for a half an hour, build my
Exactly.
energy levels up, and it's fine. Like, can just do an extra half an hour at the other end and
Yep.
stuff like that. So it's just sometimes people understanding that just because I'm doing something differently or need something differently doing doesn't it's not negative.
Right.
It's not a bad thing.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And that's such a good point. That even though we have to do things differently, we're still gonna get the same positive outcome as somebody else does who does it totally different than we do. So
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
absolutely. Well, Alex, thanks so much for joining us today. It was so fun to be able to connect with you, and I'm glad we were able to when we both had some free time. So
Yeah,
definitely keep in touch. We'll make
definitely. Yeah.
all of our viewers get to see your video today. And then you mentioned you have a YouTube channel as well, right?
Yeah, I've not. Yeah, I do. I do. I've got a YouTube. I've got a Twitch. I'm starting a blog as well. I'm just in the middle of making a website for that.
Perfect.
I've got my Instagram. I'm quite since the coronavirus. I've sort of like had this whole sort of like I've been home I've not been out of the house properly for 13 weeks now.
Oh my gosh.
So I've got a bit crackers, and I put all that energy into trying to make a bit of a online presence of myself, and
Absolutely.
so I've started doing a load of stuff for that, and yes,
Perfect. Well, so what I'll do is as you're building up those platforms, send them to me and I'll make sure that we link them to the video and that way our viewers can subscribe and see you do things around the world too, so that
brilliant. That'd be
everybody can stay
fabulous.
connected. All right.
I'm in the middle of building them all, so I'll have to. But I'll definitely drop you a message afterwards once I've finished it all and stuff.
Perfect. Well, we'll at least share your Instagram because that's up and running. So we'll make sure people
Oh,
can.
my Instagram's fine. Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, that sounds good. Well, thanks so much for your time today. I appreciate it. And definitely stay in touch. We'll see what we can do.
Definitely brilliant. Thank you very much, then.
Yeah, absolutely. Have a good one.